In today's video, we're taking a look at how to make pie crust from scratch, easy and simple. This is so easy, anyone could do. Everything that we use on the video, we're gonna leave a link on the description. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. That does help us out a lot, thank you. So the holidays are here and you're in need of a pie crust. Or maybe you're just craving one. Don't worry, here at the StatUpBox team, we've got your back. We're gonna dust off the food processor and bring it to the party because we're gonna make the crust. Our first ingredient is 2 cups of all-purpose flour, or about 240 grams. Our next ingredient is 1 tablespoon of sugar, or about 12.5 grams. Our next ingredient is half a teaspoon of salt, which is about 3 grams. We're gonna go ahead and mix, and this is gonna create the perfect party mingle environment for our next ingredient, and that is 1.5 sticks of frozen butter, or 12 tablespoons, or 169.5 grams. And what we want to make sure is that we cut it in itsy bitsy cubes, because smaller the luggage, the easier for the flight. And our next ingredient is 4 to 6 tablespoons of water, which is about 59 to 88 grams. And we want this water as cold as possible. So placing some ice on it is the way to go, because our main goal is for the butter not to melt, at least not until it gets to the oven, where there it could get all melty, soft and sexy, creating that flaky crust. We're gonna add our butter, and depending on your speed, we're either gonna turn on the processor or pulse it. And this is the part of the video where you get to choose. So fork in the road if you want a flaky crust or a crumbly crust. If you want a crumbly crust, then once you see the mix, just like the word says, look crumbly, you stop. If you're looking for a flaky crust, then once you notice everything gets together like a semi-ball, then we stop. But we can assure you one thing, no matter which technique you use, they're both gonna be great. Now that we chose our favorite path, we're ready to take our holiday party goers to the massage room. We're either gonna take our crumble or semi-ball dough and form it to a disc form. We sprinkle our working surface with a little bit of flour. Placing some in your hand would avoid stickage as well. And just like any successful championship team, we don't leave anyone behind. And if you chose the crumbly way, don't worry, with the heat of your hands, the butter will melt enough for it to start coming in together. You just keep flexing those sexy muscles, remembering to switch arms for even pump, and keep showing the world what your hands can do. Now that we have a semi-uniform shape that resembles more one of those rock wheels from the Flintstones, we're ready to wrap it and take it to the freezer. And we do this, remember, because we don't want the butter to melt, and that also gives you time to work on the filling. Now we can get back to our pie crust. We're gonna dust off our massage room and have our guests come by. Remember, you're looking for maximum tip, so we're gonna start by taking our rolling pin and pushing down. This is gonna avoid any major breakage. Once we notice it's pliable enough, we can start rolling the pin. We like to flip it every few passes. This is going to provide us a better circle. If you see any breaking, we can go ahead and try to put it together as we work, as well as for the corners. We can also flip it to the sides and over. And when we notice any cracks on the corners, we basically want to put them together and then flatten it together with the pin. If you notice your dough is too hard, you can let it rest there for a few seconds or minutes so it can soften. But remember, you don't want to melt it. If you notice at any time the butter's melting, you can always take it back to the freezer for a few minutes. If you notice you need more flour, you can use as well. Once we notice we have a big enough pie crust for our pie pan, which basically means that our pie dough has to be a few inches bigger than our pan. Because remember, we're basically gonna bend it in and also leave a little bit for the crust around. So 4 to 6 inches extra is good enough. And the easiest way to pick up the pie dough is rolling it into yourself and then placing the pan and rolling it out on top of the pan. And instead of pushing the pie from the middle, we want to pick it up and slide it in. Basically, what all these techniques are going to do is avoid any breakage. Once we notice it covers any nook and cranny from the inside of the pan, we're ready to cut off the excess. But at the same time, knowing that we're going to leave at least 1 to 2 inches depending how big the lip of your pan is to make the decoration crust. And a pro tip, the little leftovers, you can use cupcake pans and make little pies. We're gonna push in all the outer crust on top of the pan lip. This is basically gonna create a thicker double layer outer crust, which is gonna be easier to mold later on. And we notice the easiest way to decorate your pie is using the 2 versus 1 finger method, is where you place your 2 fingers in a V piece shape on the inside of the pie crust and using your other single finger, preferably not the middle one, and press in between the space of the peace sign. And what you do basically is replicate this all around. And remember, that's the great thing about homemade. It doesn't have to be perfect. Made with love is all you need. And remember to memorize this answer whenever somebody asks you what happened to that pie. Now that your fingers had the time of their life, we're ready for the next step. We're gonna take a fork. We go ahead and preheat our oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 204.4 Celsius, and we start poking our victim until we get some answers. I mean, we take a fork and start making some decoration holes on the bottom of the crust to avoid any bubbling. And because we want to avoid a wet dough crust, we're gonna bake the crust by itself. This is optional, but it would give the pie the best chances of being sold out at the party. We're gonna crumble some parchment paper. By crumbling the parchment paper, it's gonna make it easier to get every nook and cranny of the inside of the pie crust. And we do this because we're gonna add some weights, or what we like to call here on the StatUpBox team, some beans. Just make sure that they're raw. That's a pro tip. And we're basically gonna cover the entire pie with them. And just like poking the pie, this is gonna help keep the form of the pie and no bubbling. Now we're ready to place our pie crust in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes. Now that the time has passed, we can bring out our pie crust and remove our weights. We mean our beans. And now you finally done it, grasshopper. You come to the last leg of the race. We can finally take that filling to its future partner. If you want to check out our apple pie video or pumpkin pie video or sweet potato video for filling recipes and instructions, we'll leave a link on the description of the video. Now you can pat yourself on the back for a job well done. You become a pie crust master of the household. Don't forget, if you like the video, please give us a thumbs up. That really helps. If you have any questions, place them in the comment section below. Either someone on the StatUpBox team or someone on the YouTube community can help you out with an answer. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on social media. Thank you for watching, and here's a link to our latest video.